I'll just say that again. Hi everyone, this is Kate. I'm also recording this onto a video. So, okay, right. Okay, welcome everyone. Sorry, I didn't take the mic. I thought I had. Anyway, welcome everyone. And once again, it's an absolute pleasure to be speaking and allowing the Holy Spirit to speak through me. And I'm really finding these talks very beneficial for me because it's really beautiful. Sometimes I listen to some of what I've said and it feels really joyful. It doesn't really feel like I'm listening to me. Anyway, I just trust. I'm just going to trust always that what is said, what comes through, what anyone writes, any questions anyone would like to ask is exactly perfect. And my prayer is just to step back from Cate and just let the Holy Spirit or truth or oneness or whatever to speak through me. So I'll just do the prayer, my prayer for before I start. Holy Spirit, you be in charge. You use this vessel for your love and wisdom and kindness. I surrender and I give it to you today to do your will through me. I allow you to be in my mind, my full mind. And that's when I get the peace of God. That's when I get to sink into this love, this eternal, changeless love that I am. When I move into your mind, Holy Spirit, you are the Spirit of God. You are God's voice. You are God's love. And when I move into that and rest in that, when I rest in God, I have everything. Please illuminate all minds today listening. Above all else, I want to hear and speak and love as you do. Amen. So I'd also like to just start off by this morning. I'm doing this recording from Melbourne, Australia, and in the Eastern Standard Time, it's 6 p.m. Sunday night, and in Australia it's 10 o'clock in the morning, Monday morning, which is really lovely. So I get to sort of wake up and feel quite fresh. And a lot of the times early in the morning I get a lot of sort of clarity. I get a lot of things given to me. It feels like Holy Spirit or Jesus are sort of giving me very clear things. And I did have an awakening in the shower in the morning a few years ago. So it sort of feels like the mornings have been very times where I've experienced this wisdom, deep realizations about the truth of the mind of God. So this morning, as I was waking up, I had this, what came through was see no ego, hear no ego, speak no ego. Those were the words that came through, and it felt like a lot of the time I'll get things. Usually I'll get a whole thing to post on Facebook and it's all given to me word by word. Every word is given to me in one go. And today it was just those 3 words, but I just asked for further illumination And when I had my shower this morning, it all came through. And what came through was, and I read this on Facebook this morning, see no ego, see no bodies, see no sickness, see no evil, see only innocence. Hear no ego, hear no judgment, hear no condemnation, hear no voice but God's. Overlook what is not there. Speak no ego. Speak no gossip or hatred. Speak no criticism or annoyance. Speak the words of the Holy Spirit. Speak the words of changeless love. Speak only of your brother's sinlessness. Today I see, hear and speak with these instructions in my mind. So, see no ego, see no body, see no sickness. So all through the Course in Miracles, Jesus is asking us to constantly overlook what we think bodies are doing and saying. He's asking us to look beyond, to be above the battleground. He's asking us to look through what our ego is telling us. So the ego's got a story about what that body's doing. And it's got lots and lots of stories based on the past. And we're being called to go beyond what we're seeing. So when we're asked to see no sickness, it's true empathy, which is not to deny their sickness, but just not see it. And that's a tricky one. It took me a couple of years to actually really get this on a deep level. And I just kept asking the Holy Spirit to please bring me the clarity of this teaching. And what it is don't allow your mind to enter into the thought that your brother can be sick. So hold their true whole self in your mind, to hold their wholeness, their holiness, hold their sinlessness, hold their guiltlessness in your mind. And then, as you hold that in your mind, you can respond. So that's not to deny the sickness. If someone is sick or someone's having a migraine or someone's got, what is it when you can't sleep? I keep thinking amnesia, but that's what we've got. Anyway, that when people can't sleep, I'm just thinking of all these situations where I've been in, where I've been called. These were my lessons. I had lived with someone for a few weeks. Insomnia, thank you. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, so I lived with someone for a few weeks when I was trying to get clarity on this, and they had insomnia. And I suddenly, I was only responding to her as she truly was. So I was listening to her talking about her insomnia. But the Holy Spirit was saying to me, do not respond. Do not try to fix her. Do not try to offer solutions. Just always, always respond to her as wholeness, as completely healed, as perfect. And this can take some time to work out, because the ego will tell you, oh, you're not a very nice friend. You're not saying, oh, how did you sleep? And, you know, maybe you could try some warm milk. Or anyway, what happened with me was that I suggested a meditation that it helped me as I was going to sleep each night. And actually it was just focusing on my breath, and I'd fall asleep very quickly. And I suggested that to her, and the next day she got up and she said, that was the most awful thing that you suggested. It didn't work. And I remember going into my bedroom and sitting down and saying, Holy Spirit, what went wrong? And he said, you were making it real. You thought there was a problem and you were responding to a problem. And I'm asking you to only ever respond that she's already perfect. But this, I need to really clarify this, because what I'm not saying is you never respond in a worldly sense. I may have offered her to make her a cup of tea, or offered to do things for her during the day, knowing that she may have been tired. So we're not denying what's going on. We're mindful of how can I be helpful. So in true empathy, when he says you've never done your part by not relying on yourself to know how to respond to your brother, this is what we do when we see no sickness, see no body. We're always going to the Holy Spirit to say, how can I be helpful? And then something comes to mind. The answer is given you. But I was in training. I went into training with the Holy Spirit to be, it's called transfer of training in the course. I was training, he was training me to loosen from the ego's thought system. And so I felt guided very clearly on my path. So this is a tricky one that we have to be really clear about. That's why we have to ask the Holy Spirit, because it's not about turning away from our brother and saying, your insomnia is not real, I'm not responding to it. That's not the right way, because the Holy Spirit is kindness and caring. And when you see your brother as who he truly is, whole, complete, perfect, his Christ self, and when you respond to that, even though your brother may seem to be sick and believes himself to be sick, when you come from the Christ perspective, the Holy Spirit's perspective, all the things you don't need to empathise with the ego. You empathise, true empathy, and that's the healing. And sometimes someone that seems to be sick can have a really big healing through you responding without trying to fix, change, suggest solutions, suggest different medications, suggest meditation. So I was very quickly corrected by the Holy Spirit, and that's what the atonement is. It's not to say I did anything wrong. I didn't feel guilty. This is what our journey is to have our thinking corrected, and he uses everything in our lives, anyone that's with us. So this is what I wrote out today, and this is what it means. See no bodies, overlook bodies. Don't worry about what bodies are doing. Bodies are, in a way, I would say they're illusions, but I'd have to speak on that to really clarify that as well. But just know that that they're not, that bodies are not who we are. We are mind. But that doesn't mean we deny the body. until we get to a state of mind where we are only perceiving the innocence and Christ self and another, we will be believing in body. So we're just going, this is forgiveness. We're just overlooking what bodies are doing and saying, hear no ego. So with a hear no ego, hear no judgment, hear no condemnation, that's inside and outside. So hear no judgment outside, hear none of your own judgment, because it's actually the same judgment just appearing outside of you. So what we're doing is we don't have to do anything with it. We just need to be still, notice it, and not react to it. And that's that beautiful what is forgiveness. Ken Wapnick talks about that all the time. Just be still and look and judge not. So once we get past the judgment, so if someone's judging or condemning, I just caught the last 15 minutes of Phil, and he was talking about that. You know, there will be times where it takes a while where people are judging and condemning and criticising, and you won't be able to join in. And there is a period of unsettling when that you just can't join in. And it is, yeah, I liked what Phil said. It's like they may not be happy because you're not joining in, but you have to stay in that nice warm bath. He was talking about the warm bath of oneness. Just staying in that beautiful place of peace of mind where there is no judgment and is there no condemnation, and God takes that final step and pulls you into it. And that's the awakening, is where the ego just drops away and you're in this one mind with God. But you don't make that happen, that happens. And God takes the final step, but you have to, what you have to do is you have to choose the Holy Spirit. It's the only thing you're asked to do, is allow the Holy Spirit into your mind. That's all we just have to have that little willingness. So overlook what is not there. So the ego's made bodies to make it look like there's separation. So we're asked just to overlook what is not there. And look, these things are not easy at times, but we're just like students, and we're students of Jesus. So here, and the Holy Spirit, and they're directing us. And it's just, we just have to say, each time we go into judgment or criticism and we get to the end of the day and we get into bed and we say, you know what, I really gossiped today. You know, I really ran that person down to that other person. And you will feel very uncomfortable when you do that. You'll get into bed and you'll know that's not right. I really haven't done what the Course has asked me to do. I haven't done what Jesus has asked me to do. I didn't pause and I didn't stop and wait and ask for clarity. And that's okay, because it's like the ego just wants you to stay in judgment. It wants your mind to attack others. So what we've got to do is it's all right. So what we say when we get into bed and we realise we've done something, we just say, that's all right, nothing's happened. That's the beautiful part of it. This is a really gorgeous part of A Course in Miracles, is that anything of the ego hasn't happened. So when you're doing and saying and gossiping and criticising and judging and hurting, none of that in reality has any effect. He says the ego is nothing. So ego's fighting is nothing. And that's why this whole world of duality and being reincarnated back into these bodies and fighting and dying, and one reincarnation being a murderer, the next one being murdered, being the rapist, being raped, all these things, it's all the dream of separation. We have to wake up out of the dream. We have to wake up from the dream. And it can be done. And there's many minds that are waking up from the dream, more and more. And we need to hear this message that it can be done and there is a way. But we have to do our part. As Jesus is calling to us and saying, please step onto this path and be one of the people, one of the minds that wakes up and shares this message and gets to live in this peace of God. And, you know, he says somewhere in the Course, you know, a tranquil mind is no small thing. Yeah, thanks, Phil. Nothing happened, yeah. So, yeah, when you get into bed and you think, well, don't beat yourself up, because know that this world was over long ago, and I'm going to be talking about those teachings soon. So they're holographic teachings, and they all fit together. All these teachings of the Course in Miracles all go together to illuminate you into the truth. And it's your mind that gets illuminated. And your mind will actually expand out into the vastness, into the oneness, and it will have an experience of one with everything, an experience of being everything. And there's no place where your mind stops. So, and you will experience this. But while you've got your small ego mind happening, the Holy Spirit is the one that can help you. And all you need to do is be willing. And each day, every time something comes up, when you get into bed and you say, I really mucked up today, you can just say, I choose again. I'm on my path and I choose again. And I had a little sticker beside my bed and it's still there. And I put it there when I committed into this path, and it's never, never, never give up. No matter what happens, no matter how bad your day is, no matter how much guilt you feel, no matter how much you've criticised or attacked, whatever you've done, it's a new day. You wake up the next day and you say, choose again today. I choose the Holy Spirit's. Please help me see this differently, especially if you've got a difficulty with anyone in your life. That person, that is that one person that you can't forgive, they are your salvation once you're able to completely forgive them. When I say forgive, it's not to make anything real. It's to see through it. Yeah, the righteous man falls 7 times and rises again. Yeah, that's beautiful. Jesus is just leading us home. He knows we're going to stumble. He knows we're going to fall. He knows we're going to have doubt. He knows we're going to fall off the wagon. He doesn't expect us. He knows our perfection. We just don't realise it yet. And the only way we can know our perfection is by seeing our brother's perfection. And that's how it worked for me. People would say to me, I don't know how to forgive myself. I said, don't worry about that. Just keep looking at your brother, seeing who he truly is. Every time you're upset with someone, every time you think they're attacking you, every time you're judging them, shift into love. Shift into seeing how God would see that person. How would God see them? How would Jesus see them? I want to have his mind. So all our paths are different, and so there's no comparing, but what is the same thing is the willingness to have the Holy Spirit correct the ego's thought system and correct it, and once it's corrected, it dissolves. So today, let me speak no gossip or hatred. Let me speak no criticism or annoyance. So let me pause and let me not speak it, even if I have to tape a big piece of tape over my mouth. let me not say it. And let me just wait. And then I can go home and I can sit with the Holy Spirit and I can ask for clarity. And I can give it to the Holy Spirit and say, I'm really, really annoyed or really upset or really scared. And then just wait. But it really takes that, basically, all of your heart. You have to want to see it differently. You have to really, really be willing to want it, to want a different view. And it's that wanting another way. It's that calling out, I want a better way. I want another way. So that's the start, which I've talked for nearly 25 minutes on my little poem. But I thought it was really beautiful what was coming through. And I'm really, really glad, because it's a redefined that see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil. So today, what I was going to talk about is a couple of different parts of the course that the tricky ones. The script is written, time and space, no separate interests, tiny mad idea. I'll just talk a little bit about them as far as what was illuminated into my mind as I travelled along. And I'm deeply grateful for the teachers that went before me that helped me understand these concepts until they became an experience. And I suppose through experience, I mean realisation, aha moments. They're known, they're a knowing. They're not just an intellectual understanding. They come in as a knowing. And so just feeling I might go to, this is a part that I opened last night because I was just asking for what to talk about today, and I opened the Course in Miracles at the Manual for Teachers, and number 2 is who are their pupils. They're talking about teachers of God, who are God's teachers and who are the pupils. Number 3 in that section, the world of time is the world of illusion. What happened long ago seems to be happening now. Choices made long since appear to be open, yet to be made. What has been learned and understood and long ago passed by is looked upon as a new thought, a fresh idea, a different approach. Because your will is free, you can accept what has already happened at any time you choose, and only then will you realise that it was already there. So there's a little bit above that in section 2, just says, the instant the idea of separation entered the mind of God's Son, in that same instant was God's answer given. In time, this happened very long ago. In reality, it never happened at all. So I'd just like to talk a little bit about that, which is, it ties in with the script is written, ties in with time and space, ties in with this teaching that is very difficult to grasp, but it's the basis of what the Course in Miracles, what Jesus is teaching us. So he's saying that we have our minds believe we're separated from God. But he says in reality, it never happened at all. But it seems to have happened a very long time ago. So it seems like this world's been, you know, we've got a lot of history books that tell us what this world's about and what's happened. But we're told that we're just viewing a projection. where he tells us that we're watching something that's already gone by. So we're viewing mentally what's gone by. So we're in a world that seems like it's got time and space, but actually it's nothing. It's not happened. It never happened. And our mind is always with God. It's never separated from God. So the tiny mad idea that I could be separate never happened. So what happens is when our minds have forgotten that we're one with God and that we're not a body, when we forgot that, that's out of our awareness. So we believe we're in a world of time and space. Now, as we work through the Course's lessons and work with the Holy Spirit, what happens is it starts to illuminate in our minds this truth. We start to get glimpses of it, and we start to sink into a state of mind that is timeless. So we will have realizations, and all of a sudden we will generally have a realization at some stage of our journey that there's only now, and there's only this, and that the past has completely gone. There's nothing, it doesn't exist, and that the future doesn't exist. And our minds will come into a timelessness where we'll fall into a timeless state, a state of mind that doesn't change. And so what he's pointing us to here is that the world of time is an illusion, is the world of illusion. So it's no use going around saying, oh, that tree's an illusion, that house is an illusion, which I did for a little while, starting on the course. That actually doesn't help, because I read something where it said if you do that, you will start to think you're an illusion, and you're not. So these teachings need to be really clear in how you approach it. That's why we're called to work with the Holy Spirit, because the best thing is to say, Holy Spirit, help me see what is the illusion here. Exactly what is this illusion? So every time while we're working, we're always asking the Holy Spirit to help us see what we're reading about, what we don't understand. So what the actual truth is, what he's pointing to in the Course in Miracles in so many different ways, is that we are in God's mind and we never left. We are this one mind of God. And there was a tiny mad idea that I could be separate. But that tiny mad idea didn't happen in time. It's happening in every moment, because there's only this moment. So when I separate myself from my brother, I'm having the tiny mad idea that I'm separate right now, because there's only now. So there's everything that seems to happen on the timeline is actually in one tiny, tiny tick of time. But our minds are so asleep, they're perceiving time going by. And we don't know that, and it's very unconscious. So how we get to this understanding and realization and knowing this is a truth is just working with the Holy Spirit each day. Help me see this differently. Give me this in a different way, please. Help me understand time and space. Please bring me the experience or bring me the realization of what you're talking about here, because it doesn't make sense to me. This is how I used to talk to the Holy Spirit. And then a few days later, I'd get like a bringing in of some realization, some aha moment. And it's some of these things are really difficult to put into words. So what's happening is that there's only ever this eternal changeless now, and it's God's mind of love. God, so we've never left that. So while we're not experiencing that oneness, we have to undo this mind that believes that this world's outside of us, believes that something can hurt this body. It's got a whole mindset, it's got a whole thought system that is not real, that is not true. But we believe in it, and we've got a lot invested in it. And so there's going to be a lot of fear coming up as we start to undo, because it's unknown. We, as an ego with an ego thought system, don't actually know what the mind of God feels like living in, and we think the ego tells us it's going to be a sacrifice. It tells us that we might go crazy, that we'll be destitute. There'll be some ideas of sacrifice that comes in when you step on this path and you're really saying, you know, I want the peace of God, and that's all I want. And so we are very, very gently. It takes many, many years. Some people it's quick, some people it's very slow. And I think we can't compare. We just have to stay committed. We just have to stay willing to each day wake up and say, okay, I put you in charge of my day. Please illuminate my mind. Please bring me the answers. Please show me what the truth is here. And this is just this, I'm always saying it's just about putting one foot in front of the other no matter what happens. And then when you get a lot of fear, just stay for a while. Just rest in God. And the most important thing is spending some time with God or with Jesus in your mind, or with the Holy Spirit, whatever you really feel connected to. And just joining, especially when you have a lot of fear coming up. And just so get quiet and just invite Jesus to come in and just really join. And you'll have some experience with him. And this is how we get these teachings illuminated in our mind. But these are teachings that they all make sense in the end. They're the answer. That I never separated from God. I was never an ego. I was never an individual self. I was always this unconditional expansion of love. And all the ego's thought system is fear. It's just fear thoughts. It's thoughts of lack. And they leave. All those thoughts of lack leave the mind for good. Well, when I say for good, they occasionally come back, but not often. And then they're just seen and they're laughed at. And this is what we're asked to do, is to laugh at the tiny mad idea that I can be separate. I never separated. So there's another beautiful, I just love talking about this time, this the script and time sort of work in with each other. Oops, sorry. Phone's going off. It says here under that same section, number 2, who are their pupils? Number 4, time really then goes backward to an instant so ancient that it is beyond all memory and past even the possibility of remembering. Yet because it is an instant that is relived again and again and still again, it seems to be now. And thus it is that pupil and teacher seem to come together in the present, finding each other as if they had not met before. And it goes on talking about the pupil and teacher situation, but just that little sentence there, it's once again telling us that on the timeline that we think we're living in, we think that it seems to have happened a long time ago. And I know when I first heard about the tiny mad idea, I thought, wow, that must have been like millions of years ago. And it was only when it illuminated in my mind that I realised it's now. It's only ever now. There's only this now, this moment now, but this moment's not like a second. It's always now. It's always this moment. It's never not this moment. So you can't get out of this moment. You can't. I ask you to try to get out of the now. I ask you to try to not be in the now. These are some things that are really good for actually realising that there's only now. And the tiny mad idea that I'm separate is only ever in the now, because there's only this moment. And when I say moment, the moment is not something in time. It's outside time. So while we seem to be operating, our minds are at, I have to look at my clock to get Phil's written, now is the time, this is it. Yes, that's it. Yes, now is the time. It's timeless because it doesn't go anywhere. You're not in the future, you're not in the past. Where you are right now is always where you are right now. And without bringing in the past, and without thinking about the future, what's here? If your mind completely forgot the past, it forgot all its hurts, it forgot what to believe, if somebody wiped your memory but only left how to do things, maybe how to make a cup of coffee, how to make a meal, the things in life that you need to do to get by, but actually the whole of your mind and all your upsets and beliefs and things that happen that are causing you the person that you really can't forgive. Imagine you couldn't remember that. Well, that's what awakened mind is, that all that goes. It's just gone. You can't remember it. For me, I can't remember what anyone did to me in the past. It just went. In a moment of awakening, that all went. And so what he says is, when we meet someone, we're meeting him then as he truly is, because the past doesn't come in to give a story about who it is. So we're meeting a brother as he truly is, who is the Christ self, is the innocent, guiltless Christ self. God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. So God doesn't know of any upsets. God's perfect love. And perfect love doesn't know of sin, doesn't know of death, doesn't know of anything other than perfect love. And that's what our minds switch into. We'll flip into God's mind. pulls us across the bridge. It says in the Course in Miracles, we get to the bridge and there's lots of analogies of little things. He's going to put his hand out and pull us across. And he does that. He does that. And it's not a man, it's not a hand, it's not a bridge. It's just your mind going back to what it truly is. Your mind never separated from God. So you're going back to actually the truth, the place we never left. So we detoured into fear. The Course talks about a detour. All we've done is detour. So, you can imagine in the car taking a detour. You just get back on the road. So there's no guilt, there's no nothing. We're just remembering but that path that we walk on when we wake up to, there's always that like I heard a non-dual speaker say, everybody's seeking, and I'm like, yeah. When you really, didn't look to me for a long time. It seemed like other minds were happy. But then I looked a bit deeper and I said, no, they're seeking. You've really got to see it. There'll be, there's discontent because the ego is discontentment. And we're all going to wake up, and we already have. So this is another thing. The script is written. Time and space. So what he's telling us, the teaching is that when you think about the script is written, think about a movie. Someone writes the script, the actors play it out, and then we watch it back. So when we start watching a movie, we don't know what the end is. So we get all excited. Like, oh, what's going to happen? What he's telling us is this whole thing's already been done. It's been recorded. This whole world is over. Every decision we think we're making has already been made. So what these teachings actually are, really the beauty of them is that they allow us to say, I don't have to fight for anything here. I don't have to worry about anything. It's all been and done. It's all gone. Who I am can't be threatened, because who I am is beyond a body. It's beyond the tiny little idea that I am a body, because ideas leave not their source. So I'm an idea in the mind of God. I am in God's mind. As an idea, as whatever, I'm joined with God in God's mind. And these were tricky for me on my path. I listened to other teachers talk about them, and I'm really glad to say that they did illuminate into my mind. They did come in as knowings. And in fact, they all dropped in 1 second. The whole thing dropped in as a knowing. It was like it was a massive download. And it was this massive aha moment, I suppose, that some people like to call it awakening or awakened or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter what the name you put on it. What matters is that it happens. It does happen, and there's many minds out there that are getting this truth coming in as a knowing. But generally, as far as I know, and I don't ever like to say this because he says generally you will go through fear and a lot of unsettling periods. So, but he's just said, so what, with the teachers that have gone before me, I've got so much gratitude that they spoke and they recorded so I could listen to them and hear what they had to say. And it really helped illuminate the truth in my mind, and I listened to them. And so I'm really just doing the same thing. I've asked the Holy Spirit, I'm here to be truly helpful. I've given my life. I've just said, God, use me in any way you like. I'm not interested in anything of this world. There's nothing here that could bring me any more love than the love of God. Being with God in every moment is the most wonderful, wonderful experience. It's just this joy and this love and this peace. It's like, I was going to say an orgasm. It's all the time though. And I suppose I should say that because that's what was coming through. It feels like that. It's just this beautiful, beautiful, amazing peace and love and joy. This peace of mind is beyond anything. So it is worth stepping out on the path. It is worth keeping going. And it is worth many, many people coming and speaking. We need to hear this message in so many different ways. And the illusion is that I am separate. The truth is that I am one. I can't be one with another body. I can't put my hand to another hand and merge into it. But I can join with someone's Christ mind, because their Christ mind is changeless. Their ego mind changes. The ego it's you try to join with an ego, it'll never agree with another ego. But when you join with your Christ mind, with another Christ mind, this love just pours out, and you're connecting through this amazing unconditional love, this love that has no fear, and it just wants to give and give and give, because it knows that it receives as it gives. It's not interested in getting anything. It has, in the mind of God, it doesn't want to get. It's got no need to get. What would it need? When others talk about manifesting, I just laugh, because what would you want to manifest? You've got everything. Nothing to get, Phil's saying. There's nothing to get. You couldn't possibly think of getting anything, because your mind is healed. There's no lack. That's it. There's no lack. This mind of God has no lack. It doesn't, I mean, I walk around now and I just see all this fruit on trees, and I just you know, might eat some or think I'll go back, you know, when it's ripe and I'll pick some. It just sees abundance everywhere. Its shift of mind is amazing. Before I had this shift, I remember I had a whole pantry full of food, and I had so much fear. I'd lost my job and I had so much fear of starving. And I remember one day I was joining with the Holy Spirit, and I said, I'm so scared I'm going to starve. And he said, have a look in your pantry. I just looked over there and I just had like 3 months worth of food. I had rice, I had pasta, I had lots and lots of food there. And I thought, oh, yeah, I was thinking about the future. I thought I might be starving sometime, maybe 6 to 12 months down the track. There's no lack now. Now, there's no lack. In the now, there's only ever the now. So all these teachings work together. You see, you've got to bring your mind back into the now. So if you're not projecting into the future, so right now, if you have a bed to sleep in, if you have some food, if you have some clothes on your back, you've got everything. And even if you didn't have those things, you can still have peace of mind, because you can go, your mind can transcend even coldness or heat or whatever. You can use your mind to transcend everything that the body tries to bring up as a defense, as a reason why it's upset. And but generally that's what I say when people are upset, fearful. I just say, bring it back to the now. Get back right into now. What's going on? And is there a time where you ever lacked anything? And even if you went without a meal or you went without a house to sleep in, I mean, I did that. I slept in the gutter and I laughed because even that can't take you away from peace of mind, because it can be in joy. And I know this probably sounds really weird to hear this, but in my mind that just seems laughable, that anything the body can go through could take you out of the peace of God. So I've got a couple of minutes. I wanted to also talk about no separate interests, which is over in the Manual from Teachers, section 3, one of the levels of teaching. It's funny because you're sort of bringing in a lesson, but then he goes into these other real beautiful teachings. He talks about these chance encounters. And I love this teaching about no separate interests. And at the bottom of section 2, he says, even at the level of the most casual encounter, it is possible for two people to lose sight of separate interests, if only for a moment. That moment will be enough. Salvation has come. You see, and I sometimes use, instead of the word salvation, I'll use the word enlightenment. Sometimes you can slot that word in and it'll actually give you a little bit more of a aha. So in enlightenment, when your mind's enlightened, you lose sight of separate interests. Even just for a moment, when you've joined with your brother and you've lost, so he's giving this beautiful teaching, telling us that when we're the most casual encounters, he says there's no chance encounters. Each of them has a potential for becoming a teacher-learning situation. So we're teaching our brother love, unconditional love, the love of Christ, and we're losing our separate interests. So someone bumps into us, we don't get angry, we smile and say, that's all right, that's okay. You know, and it's just these constant, he's just asking us to use every single situation in our life for healing our mind, and healing. All that love is very healing. You know, that might have been, I know I've got some times in my childhood when people, relatives and whatever, have been extremely kind to me in moments when I wasn't very happy. And those moments really stick with me. So don't ever overlook a small encounter of pure kindness, pure love, where you've gone out of your way, where you've seen your brother as yourself, and you've done something because you've thought, wow, I'd like to, you know, pay for a meal. I'd like to share this with you. I'd like to give you a hug. And so we're coming to, he's just asking us to see that our brother's interests, and that's every single brother, every single one, every single brother has the same interests as ours, and to overlook the bodies and to just see the beautiful self that's beyond it, the self that is the Christ self. So I've got a couple of minutes. I'm going to, because I love to share these beautiful, the prayers. I call them the prayers in the back of the Course in Miracles. They're the later lessons and they're just so beautiful. Let me see, Holy Spirit, can you pick one? In my salvation, in me, salvation's means and end are one. And that's lesson 318. In me, God's Holy Son reconciled all parts of heaven's plan to save the world. What could conflict when all the parts have but one purpose and one aim? How could there be a single part that stands alone, or one or more or less important than the rest? I am the means by which God's Son is saved, because salvation's purpose is to find the sinlessness that God has placed in me. I was created as the thing I seek. I am the goal the world is searching for. I am God's son, his one eternal love. I am salvation's means and end as well. Thank you, everyone, and I'll give the mic back. And thanks for joining, everyone. I'm going to put this up on my Cate Greaves YouTube channel and within 24 hours. And I also would like to say, bless you, I love you, and I honour you as we walk home together. Thank you. So I'll just finish off now, and thanks everyone for joining in. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.